Welcome to Conversations Catapults, the #1 after show for the #1 D&D podcast. I'm your host, Nathan, and today I am joined by the new generation of golems. Say hello, Crowlums.
I am a golem, and I cannot speak, nor do I show any emotion. I am Emerald Golem. Sweep.
You have to say your actual name.
Also, I'm Ben.
Yeah, no one will know who he is otherwise.
Who will fucking know?
You're right.
Whoa.
Hey Sizzles, it's the Gen Zetter Golem. Hi, it's me, Carla, and I play Integrity Adelberry from the hit show Trials and Trebuchets. Nice to meet you. Hello.
Holy shift! We have a couple of loose screws. I'm the steampunk golem, and I'm Sarah.
Oh my god.
Action. Introduction. Action not acquired. Action not acquired. Space error in line 45. Hi, I'm Sam.
It's a broken golem.
I mean, what do you expect with Crow Mercantile wares, you know what I mean?
Bastard company.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that intro specifically to fuck with Ben after we had that little Crow conversation. We got to hear all your thoughts and feelings on this new gen. Before we heard about all of that, first, we actually had a fun little excursion with Integrity doing her new duties as the keeper of the list of warlocks.
Already.
Yeah, already. Like, I enjoyed the homunculus stuff so much, and I wanted to learn more about, like, what you're planning to do with the list. Like, are you going to be making bonds with these warlocks that you find, or is it just information for information's sake right now?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a plan. It's always like, well, first of all, I haven't looked for any new warlocks, so might as well look for one. And then we'll see where it takes us. Maybe it could go from murder, or it
We're
could
gonna
go to,
kill
like,
them?
No, maybe not. Likely not.
Yes.
But if they decide
maybe's not
to...
a guarantee.
So the answer is, perhaps there isn't like a exact plan on what to do with them, but I think knowledge is power, and just knowing who I'm working with and maybe working against is an important information for Integrity to have, especially as the keeper of the list of warlocks. Keeping my promise.
Yeah, I mean,
I keep promises.
I assume Bailey is going to be on that list, but then again, that's just me going off of the BB crows and everything like that. I don't know who else in the podcast has those initials.
I feel like I came up with something, and then I completely forgot who's another BB in the school. I'm pretty sure there is.
It's Bowen.
Bowen.
Oh.
There's Bailey and Bowen.
Bowen
That-
Blackley?
Blue Blight? Is that something?
Rowan, please write in to let us know your Patreon NPC's name. Luke is the one who keeps all of those.
I have it in my notebook. It's somewhere there.
It's no worries. No one should bring notes to a CNC. However, tell me, God, what's a good transition here? Notes to Croats? Fuck it. The dominating force in these 4 episodes was that conversation with Crow.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to gauge all of you together and see what the mood was going into that meeting. Like, how did you all feel going in before it had started, and then coming out? How did you feel?
I mean, there was already a sort of foreboding sense about it, right? Because, you know, we have an understanding that, like, Crow has something on us. He has a lot of our things. You know, we don't really have that much to bargain with, and we need something from him. We also understood that, like, you know, Sereneth's status at the school is very largely dependent on, like, Crow allowing her to stay here, things like that. So there was already a sense of anxiety, I think, going in, but I think there was a little bit of uncertainty of, you know, maybe this will go fine, maybe we can talk about it civilly, and I think coming out of it, I can't speak for everyone, but I think there is a much larger sense of, 1, Crow is a really bad dude, and 2, Crow knows a lot more than he is letting on, which I think it's going to be very fun to see how that manifests itself going forward.
Yeah, like, Sereneth tries to be, like, as, like, on the fence with these kinds of situations as possible, as to, like, not make anyone upset. But, like, very quickly that conversation turned... It's really hard to say what I expected, because I also knew that Crow, like, knew stuff, like, the whole scene of, like, hey, I don't want to get married, and he just like smiles about it because it's like a whole thing that he's watching, I guess. So like it's definitely a weird feeling of like I thought there could be a negotiation, but the way he talked to us sort of like had Serenep shut down because it very
holds all the
very
cards.
quickly became like this horrible situation. I've had this situation before. I can't really say anything. Let's hope the others know what to say because I can't do it.
I knew the talk was not going to be good going into it. I knew something was...
Because you knew what you were going to say.
Yeah, because I knew that, like, okay, Sereneth is going to talk with Crow and sort the stuff that she needs to sort out and all that. It was not going to come out squeaky clean with Winsler. With Winsler there trying to figure out, like, hey, you did something really terrible. You should take responsibility for your actions. And Crow's like, I don't think I will do that. Also, fuck you. It was extremely one-sided. So
Yeah.
I think overall, Winsler tried to play it as sort of like, this is a business. So obviously, to keep things fair, we should, like, if you're asking us for stuff, it's only fair if you tell us stuff. Clearly that probably backfired more than I expected because we probably gave out a little bit more information than we received, but I don't think there was any other way to actually resolve that situation without giving more than what we were taking. Just because, Crow is in fact holding all of the cards and any wrong move more than already made could result in something far worse than what the actual result ended up being.
Yeah, you had really no leverage in that situation whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Zero.
Like, zero.
Yeah.
And like at first, you had the feeling of like, in prior conversations, Crow is like been very magnanimous. And now that, you all have proven your worth in a way, which to him is not very much.
No.
But
Yeah.
Carla,
Mask slips. No need for it.
Carla, Integrity didn't really say much during that scene. How are you feeling throughout?
I think the entire time because she didn't really have a lot going on specifically with Crow. The golems is Winsler's, and like for Mira and I guess like a little bit of Serenep, there's the Angelica thing, and even though Integrity is involved with both of those, I'm more of a support. So I let them do the talking, and at times when someone needed information that I could give without necessarily taking up like the storyline or the role of the other members, that's when I spoke up. But there wasn't just like a lot of that without revealing too much. That's why I was like hesitant. I'm like, should I say something about the snake? Because I can't just be like, hey friends, should I tell him about the snake? It has to be like a decision
you
that
all
I
can't
had.
just start pointing at each other.
Exactly. And like that will just not be like fun for if you're visualizing it in real life or even in a game kind of sense. Right. So but in some ways I find that it might progress the story a little bit to give some information, but not too much. So that was just like my role, support.
Oh yeah, I think it's fun to give like an antagonist more information so they can do more in the story. But Ben, I wanted to talk to you because you said something at the outro of this episode, which I wanted to hone in on. Like, this is the most heated we've seen Winsler since like incidents with Chudley, And at the end of the episode, you were like, "Yeah, I teared up during this." like I came close to crying because like. As a player, how did it feel to get so heated in that moment? Can you tell me a little bit more about like your thoughts during that, and also like this righteous anger that we see from Winsler? Whenever he gets angry, it is for a very good reason.
I think it might just because me personally, I despise Crow. So the fact that it's part of it is like I see him like towering over us, like he thinks we're nothing. He has no idea what we've been through. It's clearly like that he doesn't care about anything. So I guess that's where the heat of the moment really like comes into play. It's like he just doesn't care, right? He doesn't care about anything but advancing himself and his company and doing whatever it takes to achieve those goals. Disregarding literally everything else, and that is exactly what Winsler despises in people.
And he lives so opposite to that. Like, he is willing to break these rules to get gifts for his friends. Like, that was one of the biggest character establishing moments for Winsler, was like, oh, I do things for my friends without needing to be asked, like putting my neck on the line. And Crow is incredibly antithetical to that.
Mhm.
Did the tears come more from when like you were yelling, or was it being yelled at? This is just me personally. If I start getting heated, I also get tears in my eyes. So I don't know if you're the same.
It was more so when I was speaking usually, because like, okay, when someone else is talking at me, it's easier to like sort of calm down a little bit because I'm not the one like actually engaging in it like directly in that moment. So me talking, Winsler talking, every time it was just like, oh god, tears are coming. I gotta be careful. It's gonna be a mess. But you know,
Cry, Ben.
it's true. Like, I care about Ari. I think I think everybody, you know, can agree with that. Like, Ari's a good character.
Yeah.
I am sad that they literally just got offed, and I want to see them back because, you know, they were wronged in multiple ways, and now they're pretty much just like in pieces. So gotta fix them.
It's heartbreaking to see them objectified quite literally in this way. And Crow continued to refer to them more as an object of like, well, we can fix it.
Like, these are Legos.
Yeah, that was infuriating because Winsler does not see the golems as objects. He sees them as actual conscious beings with their own will.
He's a dad to one.
He's literally a father to a golem. And even then, Crow is shoving Yogg in a fucking closet with the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Speaking of where like Crow is sticking people, we got to hear him refer to Angelica as the disgraced Angelica Lindman.
God.
And, to me, this conversation, like with Serenep, like especially the part that she played in it, it really hammered home how different her situation is now that she no longer has the weight of her family name, right? Like Angelica, she is also disgraced. Like, that is very clear in the moment.
Yeah,
Sam,
it very much feels like Crow said that as a dig at Serenep.
Yeah, Sam, how is this gonna like change how Serenep moves through the world? She can't rely on the same things that she always has.
It's a bit wild because it's kind of like all of the people who she grew up with aren't there. Like, Philip's gone, and he was a person who really grounded her. Angelica's out. Corinna and Serenep didn't have the same like friendship that she and Angelica were able to like get, but with being in Wildcliff together. So at this moment, it's sort of like she feels like she's kind of by herself, even though she knows that if anything huge happened, her friends, like the rest of Swim, would be there to help. But she also kind of feels like if like small things happen, like it's going to be something she has to deal with.
But also her toolbox has changed. Like, she can no longer, like, there were times early in the campaign where it was like, oh, if we need to pay someone, I can literally go to my room and get like jewelry out of a box and like hand it off. Like, now that is, you no longer have like an infinite pool of like that to draw on. Like, how is that like changing how Serenep acts? Not just how she feels. Like, she's lost a lot of sway. Like, even Kenneth Horse Wrangler, who she fucking steamrolled, is now like, oh, you're Miss Cinderman, right? You're not Lady Cinderman.
Yeah. I think it's where before she was able to use whatever money or whatever extra jewels she had to kind of like help a situation. It's definitely much more, oh, I have to actually use my own like skills to help with things, which I mean, like, she's done in like the big like in fighting situations, in like we're deserted somewhere situations, but definitely not in the fact of like we have to talk to an important person at the school and you don't have that status anymore. So it's definitely like, again, that whole situation with Crow was she went in there to be like, let's have a conversation, but like the second he started getting upset, she's like, don't turn your attention to me anymore, please, and let me like kind of stand back, please.
Because also, Wildcliff is currently the safest place for her, and he has full control over her stay there, you know?
Yeah, it's literally the only other like place that she had predeterminedly gone to before everything happened. This is the last like familiar place where she held status, because literally everywhere else she goes now, she's not going to have that. I mean, she doesn't really have that now, but like there's still like the semblance of she still has her old room, for instance, that kind of stuff. Like
For now.
for now.
Like when the who knows, like when the next advanced students come in, like
This literally could be like her last term with that room. Even she might have to start bunking with somebody else soon.
That could be a very interesting situation. Like, I don't know, Serenep gets a fun new roommate.
Hear me out. I think it'd be kind of fun if we get Angelica back and like we can somehow set it up so that she can stay at the school. They become roommates. I think that'd be kind of fun.
If Angelica comes
God.
back.
Try and get her grades
Two
up.
nobles,
She's going to come
like, who
back.
have never had to share a room before.
Angelica's
Well,
been taken by the ancient
I-
gods.
Something is coming back.
Speaking of like what's going on with Angelica, but like a little bit stepping back to the Crow conversation, I want to talk to Sarah for a quick moment
Hi.
as well, because we got to learn Crow now knows stuff about Shiora.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know how much he knows and from what source. So my question for you is like, is he a potential resource for Mira? Considering the fact, like, because of her status with Ala Algrim, she's the only one who holds any sway.
Yeah, that's a very fun question that I've also been thinking about a little bit too. I mean, obviously we as the players have known for a very long time that Crow is like a bad dude, but for the characters, it's been a little bit more of, yeah, he's rich, he is the new headmaster, he's a little sketchy, to like, okay, yeah, this guy's a fucking villain and he's lording this over our heads. I think that our first year has very much been centered around, we have to keep the secret of Shiora from like people who could be dangerous and from everybody else. This is ours, we need to stop as many people as possible from getting involved. I'm honestly wondering if, just with the amount of knowledge that people like Crow or people like Ala have, we might kind of be past that point of no return with regards to keeping Shiora a secret. I think that that is something that Mira has been considering, and I don't know that that's necessarily going to mean Mira being like, look, Crow, I understand you know stuff, I probably know stuff you don't, like, let's talk about this, but I think that it is becoming a distinct possibility. I'm very excited for what, you know, we are past the point of keeping Shiora a secret is going to imply or mean for the whole party and for the whole game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game changer.
Absolutely.
I've got a point that I kind of want to expand on that.
Yes, please.
In terms of the amount of knowledge that these characters have, Crow, Ala Algrim, you know, how much can they actually use this knowledge realistically? Because technically, they can't really interact directly with Shiora in ways that we probably think they can. Integrity has control over 3 of the 4 orbs, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
which is like a direct link to the hatch in Wildcliff. So, like, we've experienced a lot of Shioran phenomenon, and like we've lived it. They haven't. They really only like know what information they've gathered and like what we've may have told them. So I'm just not sure exactly what they might be able to do to actually like tap into anything Shioran without.
Yeah.
Well, we now have a not insignificant bargaining chip with that information, right? Okay, you might know stuff. What are you able to do with it? If we are able to use any of that information to your benefit, we may be able to work at that and get things that we want, which I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think that us realizing that we have more power than we think is a fun possibility.
And I think Crow is underestimating the sort of value the fake value that he's placed over our heads, really, because, you know, what if we were to just up and leave? Like, what if we were to just like disappear for a little bit with the orbs in tow? What's he gonna do? Like, sure, he knows about Shiora and he can gather as much information as he wants. I don't know if he can actually apply anything without said orbs or anything like that.
As for use for any of them, it might have something to do with the relationship between Shiora and the source of power somehow within Wildcliff. That's just like what I think about. Whenever I think of the orbs now, I think of it as a key to the source of power that is oddly occurring within Wildcliff. So I agree with you that we have like a much... Because the thing is, in this story, in this campaign, we are heroes, right? And with the power that we hold with our connection with the ancient goddess, with the orbs and the progenitor, we have a lot of power to hold over these people, but just how we can do that without them taking advantage of us, considering that we are younger or maybe they have more resources than us. So that's certainly something that's a little bit scary and something to think about. And I look forward to like how that will develop.
Yeah,
over
and there was
time.
another thing that just popped into my head, actually. I guess even without the orbs, there is the whole, like, the Room of the Ascendants in Wildcliff as well, like, where Nesca was sort of, like, brooding around.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only other path that they might be able to have is, like, look to see about becoming Ascendants themselves, but like, I wonder how safe that actually is, because what if it's actually not what Nesca says it really is, or like becoming an ascendant could be something actually terrible and it could go horribly wrong. It could end messy for whoever actually tries it.
Well, Loud might be our first prototype for that. So, if he eats a heart and suddenly fucking explodes into a million pieces, we know that we can tell everyone else to become an
Yeah.
ascendant.
Gosh.
Lots of things to think about, because I don't feel like we need to be in like, fear for too much. Because otherwise, if we're too scared to do anything, then we probably won't do anything at all.
That's true.
You gotta let any fear motivate you into action rather than
Mhm.
Exactly.
And I'm all about action, baby.
Hell yeah. Speaking of action, Sam, Sereneth indicated heavily, like in this episode, once you all got Angelica, she's desperate to take care of her. So tell me, like, what would Sereneth's plan be to take care of Angelica? Like, what does she plan on doing for her?
Well, the first part is, because Delness is making the potions and everything like that. So I think the first step would be, because, like, I think the thought of, like, helping Angelica means, like, I have to be one of the people who go into her head once we do the whole thing, because I think a while ago it was, okay, I'll stay out and protect you guys. But now that we're reaching the end, it's kind of like, no, I feel like I need to be in there to help.
All right.
Like, depending on
But
how
I
bad it
meant
gets.
more in terms of like I want to take Angelica and like be the one like to take care of her. When Mira was getting her, it's like, oh, can I have like in a weird way of like, can I have Angelica with me? Like, what was the plan there, or was it just I want to have her close by?
I think it's the same thing, just kind of before, like, Philip's gone, she's not really friends with Karina. Angelica was one of the other friends that she had at that time, and she's there, but she's not there, and it's kind of that thing of, like, I don't want her to be, like, slumped over in Mira's, like, bathroom or on the floor. Like, I want to give her a space. Like, even though she might not be aware of it, that she would be, like, comfortable in, like the cushions or, like, something like that. It's a weird sense of, like, even though she's not going to be aware of it, Sereneth wants to, like, I don't know, wants to kind of protect her.
I have a question for you, Sam. Do you think this is Sereneth, like, when you really, I mean, obviously this is how Sereneth feels on some level. When you sort of analyze how she might feel about that, do you think deep down this is like, oh, Sereneth is being magnanimous to Angelica? Or do you think it's a thing of Sereneth is very lonely right now?
I don't know what magnanimous
I was
means.
about to ask.
Sorry. Like, my bad. I guess I'm just curious if it's more like, oh, I really want to help her here, and like I think she would have a happier time, or do you think this is like, Sereneth has lost Philip, Karina is fucking pissed at her right now, Angelica is gone. Do you think this is on some level just a thing of like Sereneth being very lonely?
Honestly, yes. I think it's very much a thing of like, she, like, even though you guys are there, like, Philip, Karina, and Angelica were the people that she grew up with. They saw her transform from, like, a horrible child into a less horrible adult. And so, just, like, the fact that, like, he's gone, the other one's not talking to her, and, like, has called her, like, a traitor and everything. Like, she like, kind of threw some words at her kind of when they all got back together at school. Angelica's, like, the only person that she really has from that, because, like, her parents are 100% not there anymore.
She misses her.
Like, so it's kind of like I want to protect you because I don't know how to protect myself right now.
You talk like this loneliness, it makes a lot of sense, and especially with Philip gone, does Sereneth have any plans to help Philip? Or is it just he's on his own?
I think the issue is that she doesn't really know where he is right now. Like, there's really no way to know, even if she could help, how to help. The most she can hope for is at some point he reaches a place with like a landmark or something, and that's about as far as she unfortunately has with that.
Sam, you're in a magical school that has like spells that can allow you to like talk to people over long distances.
But but like, yes, this magic exists. Like, we know that magic exists. Sereneth has only like so much magic. She doesn't know what she can mix and combine with her spells to like actually be able to reach out. Like, she can like she feels like she's very limited at this moment.
There's probably a spell scroll for sending in the library.
But no, I think that answer is interesting though, because it shows how like a lot of Sereneth's isolation here is probably a product of her having to like look out for herself and do things for herself here, right? Because the thought doesn't even cross the mind of, let me ask another student or a teacher to see if they can talk to
Oh yeah, it's just not something that it's difficult because you're like,
she doesn't rely on people.
Yeah, like you can see like how a lot of Sereneth's stuff is like, you've caused this to yourself by not asking for help, but she doesn't really know how to do it. So it's sort of like, let me help you guys because I can see you need help, but then like, I'm not going to actually say anything because I have to deal with this myself for some weird like internal reason of hers.
But back to the Angelica stuff. Sarah, like, tell me, you were very clear, or Mira was very clear, that taking care of Angelica is her responsibility. It's her duty.
Mm-hmm.
Is that primarily due to her, like, you know, fealty to Alla Algrim? Or is it more about Nesca potentially coming back?
I think it is much more about Nesca well, I think it's a mix of things. Because Alla Algrim did technically give Mira the duty of, like, I want you to look after her, but it was much more phrased as, just fucking do something about this person so that she's not lying in the infirmary, being a distraction and causing very visible problems. I don't think Alla would blink twice if Mira, like, threw Angelica off the mountain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's a nobody now.
Yeah, exactly. No, not that Mira would do that, but I don't think that Alla Algrim cares that much what happens to Angelica as long as she is out of the way, and I think that Mira knows that. I think that Mira, having this like duty of caring for Angelica is partly the fact that, you know, Mira knows that Nesca is in her mind or is in some way related to her. Mira has had the most firsthand experience with Nesca, and she also understands that, like, I mean, I can heal myself. Talking to her is very physically damaging to me. And there is this person who, you know, has harmed me, has harmed my friends, has like killed Teb, who I am terrified of. Like, we need to get this dealt with. And I think part of it too is that I think that it is not that Mira ever particularly liked Angelica, but I think that having Angelica physically present in Mira's life for this amount of time and talking to her, I think that Mira does relate to Angelica in a few ways. You know, there's this feeling of, oh, I have this sister who has just been better than me at pretty much everything. I feel like, you know, I'm seen as like the disappointing one in my family. A lot of those kind of feelings are, I would say, present in both of them. And I think that Mira recognizes that, not in the sense of we are the same, but in the sense of the pain that you have felt, your desire to be someone who is special and recognized is something that I really understand. It's a bit of kinship and a bit of pity.
Would that pity keep her from doing what is necessary if Nesca's return seems imminent?
I don't know if Mira is ready to cross that line at all, frankly. However, I don't know that this will always be the case. I mean, Mira has done some kind of messed up stuff lately. I don't know if anyone has picked up on that.
Her list is growing.
I don't know about that. I think.
Wait, you have?
Yeah, I mean, just maybe. And she's going to continue, I think, to do whatever it takes to beat Bailey in this election. I think she is flirting with getting a little bit darker morally in this situation. So right now, you know, okay, Nesca is in this fragile body. This is my chance. Ooh. That is not something that Mira, I think, would be willing to do. I cannot say that this will remain true in the weeks and months to come.
Is there anyone in the party who thinks that they would be able to do that?
I'm going to just tie her up.
Me.
Winsler.
I could Winsler was my first thought as well. Like,
yeah.
Winsler has the heart of a paladin and the body of a wizard. like very much so.
Wet
like,
tissue paper skin.
Yeah, but like he knows what's right and what's wrong, and if like he needs to be the hatchet man to keep like bad things from coming, shit, he will probably be the one to do it.
Probably.
Love that.
He will do what most other people would not.
That's brave.
But speaking of like crossing moral event horizons, I wanted to turn Carla. Carla,
Yes.
you had probably one of the highlights of this like set of 4 episodes for me, which is Mira just saying, "Hey, could you break into Bailey Blue's like room for me?" And then Integrity going, "Oh, I'm a spy now." Like,
Yeah.
she goes super into spycraft.
Oh,
like,
I love it.
as she and Lucia like dug up dirt on Bailey Blue. How far is she willing to go
How
to help Mira's
far?
campaign?
Cool.
How much do you hate Bailey?
The thing is, Integrity pre Wildcliff already participated in quite morally questionable situations. Like, not to say that she, murdered anyone or anything, but
She was a delinquent.
yeah, like she lived in an area where this was just things that she was exposed to, and going back to that route and being able to play around, I would say like being able to play around with who I am as a character, as a rogue, because in fights, like that's like a whole different thing, to be able to just use what a rogue is in story. That was like so much fun for me, even though it's really funny that a rogue does not know to like detect if there's any any spells that will that can potentially tell people that someone's breaking in. But how far can she go?
How far? Like, she broke into someone's room. She like went through their private things. Like, that's a big violation of it. Like, what you think of another person. Like, what is the line here?
What is the line? It's very hard to like come up with a potential scenario.
If you would like, I can start throwing out potential things.
Okay.
Like, all right, murder is probably off the table, right?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to like assassinate? No wet work.
No wet work, at least not at this level, especially because like that's sort of wrong to be like, oh, I'm gonna off the person that you're trying to beat. Like that's not how
It's not sporting.
yeah, that's not how politics should work, I think.
Damn, I can't believe your opponent had a terrible accident last night.
They fell down so many stairs. Like, oh my gosh.
So probably murder. Like what's like above murder to you, Nathan? I would like to know.
Murder
or below.
to me is like one of the worst things you could. Oh, okay,
Sorry,
okay.
below,
Like taking a step below murder. Let's say tying him up so he misses tomorrow's debate.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh.
That's a really big jump. What?
I think kidnapping is pretty like.
What about modifying his memory so he forgets he was ever running?
I mean, if Integrity had that ability, sure. I mean, it's just memory. Who cares about that, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, look at Elric. He's perfectly happy.
That I was not fucking expecting that, and I'm very excited to see how this goes.
What do you mean?
My
Dallas was
base-
with me the whole time.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, and if I'm not, Luke, you can cut this out in the final cut. But during that scene where Mira was pretending to be Syndra and sneaking into the hallway, and Adeline was like about to cast a spell on her, Luke mentioned that spell would have been Modify Memory. So from a meta standpoint, I do know that is a spell that Adeline has. However, I am curious if there is any possibility that this might have been Delnus's doing. She was very cagey and secretive about what she saw and what she did over hot Lich winter or whatever. And I'm just very curious if she might have been enticed to get a little fucked up with it.
Do you think Adeline gave Delnus a scroll of Modify Memory to fuck with Elric? Do you think she loves her mother that much that she would betray her own father like that?
I wouldn't put it past her.
A part of me thinks that it isn't necessarily like betraying her father, because he also had the line of, I haven't written a song in years, which means he doesn't remember the embarrassing Adeline display.
True.
Like those are things like where I could almost see a twisted version of a daughter being like, hey, let's take this horrible like heartbreak back. Let's try to fix this
Yeah.
together. Like, I'm going to like both, not only like my primary goal is, hey, I was with you all winter. Don't worry about where I was, but also don't love
This is
Mom
better for
anymore.
him.
Don't love Mom anymore. You're only gonna get hurt.
It's like a protection.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
a warped way to
The-
protect somebody, though.
Also, like, is no one else at
Yeah.
the
Her
school
Her mom's a lich.
not gonna, like, walk up to Elric at some point and be like, hey, by the way, I love that song. Like, what song are you talking about? Like, excuse
That's
me?
gonna be weird.
No one is
Probably
gonna say
for
I
the
love
best
that
for
song.
him.
Let's be real.
Something like, man, I saw you fucking
Maybe very
beef it at that
sarcastically.
at the gala. What are you talking about? This song.
Yeah.
What song?
But presumably, like, the simplest explanation is, because we saw Adeline asking for her phylactery back from Elric. She got it back. She's cutting him loose. She makes sure as few people know her weaknesses as possible. But I very much like this interpretation that this was Delness's doing, and that, even if she was guided to do it by Adeline, she sees it in some way as an act of love. Because with Mira doing the detect thoughts, we sort of have this emerging theme of like, what does it mean to love someone, and like what bad things can be done in the name of that love. I don't know if that's the direction this is taking. I think it'd be kind of neat though.
I wholly agree. I'm glad you brought up the Elric scene, because that wasn't something that I thought to prepare a question for, but it was so like such a good
It was so
scene.
shocking.
God.
Juicy.
It was.
Mhm.
I'm so excited to see more. So much so that, you know what? I'm impatient enough. Let's go ahead and wrap up here as I let the four of you go. We don't have any new characters, so there are no battleships to do. So I would like to thank you all for joining me. It was a pleasure for me, and I hope it was for you all as
Thank
well.
you for hosting.
Thank you for
and-
hosting.
Thank you.
Thank
Please
you.
don't drop us off the cliff.
Here I go. I'm going to push you and drop you off the cliff now.
Oh,
You're
no!
gonna go sliding into the DMs. Welcome back to Sliding Into the DMs. I'm your host, Nathan, and today I'm joined by the rat valedictorian, Luke.
Well, hello and welcome to the DM section. This is a bit more goblin-y here. We've got the rat voice. There it is again. You need to rub the hands
Yeah, this
together
is-
like a little rat to do it.
This is a little rat professor.
Yes. I wish there was a rat professor. That would be a good bit.
You're the person who makes the professor.
Yeah, I know. But it was just a good idea. I needed to acknowledge it.
Or you could just say, or just have Carla create a professor. It's going to be a rat.
It's got to be a rat
somehow.
person with heterochromias.
Got with what? Oh gosh, you can always tell the episodes where we've had like a good 45 minutes
Yeah.
to vamp before recording.
The brain is loose. The tongue is looser.
Anywho, these episodes were a fun little hodgepodge of we had the 189 and 190 of primarily rat content.
Yes.
And so instead of asking you a question, Luke, I'm going to just talk to you about like what I think is going on, and you can give me like if I'm hot or cold right now.
I can absolutely do that if you're hot and cold.
Okay, perfect. And obviously, like, I'm sure people in restricted section on the Discord have already like said something along these lines, but in case they haven't, here's what all of the signposts are telling me. This is also God, now I'm realizing that this could be like a really disheartening way of like starting off an episode if I'm just way off. Like, hey Luke, this is what you're telling me, right? And then you're like, ugh.
These are all the signs, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? You even read?
But anywho, all right, so
Yeah, I'm excited.
all right, here are the clues. We've got
Yeah.
crows saying BB, BB, BB. We have one character that I know of whose initials are BB. That's Bailey Blue. All right, perfect. We have Bailey Blue right here in the center of the corkboard. Now I'm drawing a red string over to Oblek experiment. All right, we were told this is a school experiment gone wrong. What if it's not?
Yeah.
What if it's intentional? Because if Bailey is a warlock, then he could be doing projects for his patron, who we don't know who they are. Probably not the progenitor, but could be someone who's also deep below the campus. Lady of the Deep. Now, what's interesting about cranium rats and oblexes is that they're
Yeah.
both psychic oriented, let's say.
Yeah.
Like creatures specifically in terms of I know this is true for oblexes and like the monster manual canon, which may not be the Wildcliff canon, and I believe cranium rats also have this, not entirely sure. Ties to elithids, mind flayers, if you want to go with like the more rude term for them. So, all right, Lady of the Deep, we have two things. Also, we have a connection of Luke saying, I promise this ties into the election. I swear.
Me knowing my players are bailing on me, being like, no, guys, I swear this is important.
The combat going on and being like, all right, we're rats. Yeah. I swear to God, it all ties in. I'm the only person with the box to the puzzle. You just have the pieces. You have to trust me. All right, if this relates, and they want the poisoning to like tie everyone into the network. Damn, you know what that makes me think of? How all mind flayers are kind of like networked together on using the Elder Brain as like a sort of hub, and how they're so scrumdiddlyumptious. So all of this to say, those are all my clues put together in a very like scattershot way. I'm sorry for anyone who can't keep track of my train of thought. But this is what it's telling me. Bailey Blue is a warlock whose patron is the Lady of the Deep, who is using cranium rats as another form of a school experiment, because goddamn, I bet it is very easy to get essentially what other people would consider a familiar, a small rat, to like experiment on them and create problems that could lead to someone winning an election they care very much about.
I think that, I've not been fucking subtle. I really hope that people just pick up on it. Yes.
Perfect.
1,000%. Oblex and Bailey Blue, cranium rats pop up. What do we expect? What do you guys, like, why would this ever not be connected? The only thing, there's more than one character on campus with the initials BB. So, warlock stuff, there's a couple. Warlock stuff, the fun of that is it might be attributed to more than one person. So there's some signal to noise in that regard, which muddies things, but I think that it's all very elegant. And also, I just love the idea of these creatures who are like, yes, we eat the brains of people, are like sitting beneath a brain factory of sorts, where it's like, look at all those juicy, tender brains filled with info up there on the surface. What a perfect time to take a little sample.
Yeah, right? Like, these are brains filled with good knowledge. They're all students.
Exactly. I also just really love illithids. Like, they capture my heart in such a perfect way. There's two creatures that in every campaign I ever run, I just know I'm going to put them in there because I love them so much. One of them's probably illithids, and the other one's absolutely a bone naga. They're just both so good. Great creatures. 10 out of 10. Use them in every game.
I don't give a shit about nagas. Love illithids.
I think that... this is another note that I'm going to make here, just for the sake of like keeping myself to a standard, is that I said the Lady of the Deep and then immediately was like, you idiot, you went off book, and I'm going to, from here on to the future, consistently call that character our Lady of the Deep. That is the proper name. I fucked it up, and it would have been so much cooler to hear these rats going like, Our Lady of the Deep, just because, I don't know, there's a bit of pomp to that name that isn't there with the.
Yeah, it's true. Our, like, that is very fun. I get what you're saying, like that sense of a ruler who is like, who belongs to all of her subjects.
Yes.
Yeah, how long has the Lady of the Deep stuff been in play here? Because, like, you've had undercampus stuff. Like, that was fleshed out well before they ever got to the undercampus in the campaign. Like, so I assume, is there a tie there?
The cranium rats have been around for ages. The first time I described, they went down into the typical undercampus place where there's that dog shit bucket puzzle. That little place. I described little eyes looking at them from the distance. That was in Trading Places. I was like, that was me being like, these are cranium rats. If you look further, you will see the little rats with the brains. And it's just been kind of like a thing baking on the back burner. And like, even as the rats said, as Wonderful Ratthus said in episode when questioned by his two captors, this is the perfect time to spring a plot because there's not any pesky smart golems anywhere around that are gonna do anything to stop them, right?
I love seeing how like the foundation of the school is truly built on the custodians.
Yes, in such a like it never comes up, but like they were so important to like the ecology of the school and keeping things safe.
if you're doing your job well, then it'll appear that you are invisible, essentially. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, God. But all that, just excuse me though, I have jumped ahead a little
course,
bit
no
because
worries.
189, we don't begin with rats. No, what we start off with, or one of the things that we start off with, is a peek, far, far away.
Yeah.
We get a peek of what Philip is up to, which is
Yeah, we do.
sleeping on the boat.
Yes.
And this is like a higher level, like DM question of like your habits and whatnot. But like, tell me, how do you keep track of the things that are happening with NPCs who are off screen, who are like, and the TV tropes like parlance, like they're put on a bus.
Yeah.
And so do you like, because there are other games with like systems in order for like figuring out how those characters are doing. Do you just like know the next time they look in, here's where they'll be at? Or is it enough time has passed, here's where they're at?
That's an amazing question, because it also comes up with Angelica, both in the last arc and in it happening in this arc, where it's like this character is experiencing these things and is on somewhat of a timeline, but how do we progress the timeline? What's a reasonable way to progress that and actually keep track of this thing? And like even artists going away, it's very much like a similar way to just milestone thinking, where it's like, if the players check in with this character before a certain time, I'll just make some shit up to be interstitial. But when they hit a certain beat, this other character will also hit a beat on their own path. And should they check in with that character at that point, they will have a bit more of a illuminatory experience of like seeing it. So checking in with Philip, base. Oh, he's just on a boat. If they were on, say, if they in the cottage, or I don't know, when immediately after Sereneth vanishes from the capital Arrows. Who the fuck knows? Thanks, Christopher Paolini, for the great name. I love your work. Anyways, immediately after, when Sereneth disappears, and if at that point Sereneth would have scryed Philip, she would have seen a remarkably different set of circumstances, but we didn't get that. Instead, we waited like almost half a season before Philip is seen again, and he's on a different path that would have, and we're lacking information. There's no context that we could have had, but it was so close to getting, but without it, it's just this wonderful little mystery. And
I know exactly what's happening with Philip. Let's be clear here.
Okay. Yeah, of course. I mean, everyone does.
Everyone does. It's quite obvious. But continue. Excuse me for interrupting.
But it's just like this fun thing of like, I know the steps on the way to the top of this flight of stairs. I know where, like, just generally, when you think of a story, you have a fucking idea of the beginning, middle, and end. Like, that's all you need to tell a story is all that. So knowing Artis is going off to the desert, I know what the beginning is, I know some middle events, and I know where the end of that is. Angelica going unconscious because she fucking touched a terrible talisman and got blood on it. I know what the beginning of that is, I know what the middle of that is, and I know what the end of that is. And the beginning was her going unconscious and then finding out that we can communicate with her magically. And we learn, wow, she's in this terrible place. She's running for her life, presumably, from some serpentine terror.
I wonder who that could be. And then we reach the, not end point, but we saw all the middle points of like her fearing for her life. And then she gets abandoned for 2 weeks. She has no one to talk to. And then the next time we see her, the next time Mira checks in, it's different. It's not what was happening last time. The circumstances, the story has progressed. And again, we missed crucial details that would color in that picture. And the next time we'll get like a fun update on Angelica is likely when they use those astral projection potions and get to go and actually see what's going on in that place. Or they could just go down to Neska's place and just eat a bunch of dust and just like trip out of their minds and maybe possibly figure something out. That would be also a pretty fun excursion, although slightly more dangerous than the control of potions. Yeah, I would listen. I think it's much more true to the college experience to
just to go into the sewers
to do
and trip
drugs,
out on psychedelics. Yeah.
Actually, no. Listen. Psychedelics, you gotta control your set and setting. Don't go to a sewer. Go to a nice big field. Like, you'll enjoy it a whole lot more. Take care of yourself. Anywho.
But that is all to say, like, I have these milestones of where I want the
Mhm.
characters to be, and if no one checks in, no one checks in. Get fucked. And if they check in, and they get a piece of piece of the pie.
Yeah, you've often talked about how you enjoy giving the players lots of plates to spin, and so it's very
Yes.
fun to see like this. The plate hasn't necessarily like cracked or fallen off, but like it definitely hasn't been spinning.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. God, it's so interesting to me because a part of me always like when there is this like approach to DMing where it's like, yeah, you've got to, be participating or else it's going to go badly. I would love there to be an example of it being like, yeah, because you all didn't participate, this actually went much better than it would have been if. That's probably the event
Yeah.
paneling committee stuff.
Honestly, Nathan, for episode 191 and 192, I tried a very new approach to prepping my notes for it that I think played out remarkably. Instead of like doing an overly detailed prep, which is normally what I would do, where I'm like, these are all the circumstances that could happen, and here's 1,000 events, and just slot them in where they fit. I instead went, who are characters who are likely to show up in this set of episodes, or that I think are important for this arc? And then I just wrote true statements about them and the course they would be on. And if the players never touched them or interacted with them again, all of these things that I wrote would become true facts of the world. But they are kind of like a true fact that is in progress. And so that lets our players' agency actually like start to push these things around. And like Ari would not be ever reconstructed if no one asked. The things would never have been returned to the students, like their possessions, if they did not ask. Those are very simple ones, right? Writing, this person is in Bailey Blue's room at this kind of time because of this reason, and then the players running into that and being like, oh, shit, right? And saying, Bailey Blue knows about this circumstance, and these two other people in their 4th year also know about some sort of fun meeting at this chapel, and they have communicated to Winsler and Sarenop about these things. These are true facts of the world. And the things that will just proceed and will happen, right? Like everything about like Our Lady of the Deep, I've just written true facts. This will all happen if no one interferes with what she is doing, right? This is what will happen if no one interferes with what Bailey is doing. This is what Crow is up. Like, I'm just like, here's just some shit. And I liked it a lot better than the kind of rigid, like almost like hook and release style prep that I normally do, where it's like, I need to wait for this very specific thing to happen before the thing can happen, right? Which is so...
God,
like,
it's so... It makes it so hard for, like, because it feels very... I think there's... That tendency comes from... not necessarily, like, this is where it comes from for you, but, like, I am currently a player in a other D&D game where, like, I'm much more of a DM who's a storyteller, so, like, I'm willing to hand-wave stuff a lot more. My DM is much more of a simulationist.
Yes.
And so very much in that same vein of like, no, here are the hook and release, like, here are the things that need to happen. And I think that comes a great deal from video games or like video game, like quest, like structure. Yeah. Which is so much harder in a game like D&D where the options presented to the players are limitless and thus they're bonking their head into the wall much more often than you would in a video game.
Because it's like, they can just say anything, and I have to decide, is that a good enough thing to then throw this at them and reply with this? There was lines in Autumn's End from Sarenop's father, from Adeline, from tons of people that I was like, if the players say this very specific style of thing, the character will respond with this. And it's like, what are you fucking doing? How rigid? Like, it's just very a rigid style, and I'm increasingly becoming frustrated with my own preparatory style to the point where I'm like, I need to fucking change this.
Yeah, because that's more work for you. That is like...
Absolutely.
Whereas, like, just having a clear idea of, like, what the NPCs are doing and where they're at is going to make it actually feel a lot more lived in, rather than a video game that you're playing through.
Yes. It was the piece of writing advice which was a friend gave to me, which was just like, show people in action. Show the people, if you want to say this person is this kind of person, show them doing that thing, and then that you don't have to say it, right? It's just there and it's happening. So if I say Bailey Blue will win the election, I can just show Bailey Blue doing all of his best work and winning the election. I don't have to be like, Yes, Mira, Bailey Blue is a quite competent foe. You might disregard him, but really, he's quite cunning in this arena, right? We can just fucking put Bailey and make him make moves. So in the canon of the show, Nathan, we're at Tuesday. The
Right.
election's on a Sunday. We have historically been terrible about getting through a weekday or a work week, but bear with me. Tomorrow is Wednesday in canon.
Okay,
So
this makes sense.
that is the day that they are having their little debate thing, which I view as like a very critical point because Mira, I know, is planning to get like all this dirt on. That's why Integrity broke into the room. That's why this is all happening. Integrity's like, I gotta see this mission through to the end, get that real dirt on Bailey Blue. Just for Mira's case. It can never be tracked back to us. Imagine if Lucia getting caught would lead to Integrity, which would lead to Mira. That would be crazy. But it's going to be like this reveal of dirt on each other. And then Syndra's also just going to be there and be like, hi, vote for me. But like, I'm just very excited because putting these characters on like a collision path, I guess, is like so much more fun than writing if this happens, then this happens. If this happens, then this happens,
Well,
right?
a great example of like putting a character on this collision path is in 191 with the Crow conversation, where it's like, yeah, this is what Crow has been up to, like, or these are things that have been happening under Crow's watch.
Yep.
And now you finally get a chance to like say your fucking piece. Yeah, God, like the mask has dropped, you know?
Oh,
Like
100%.
as you hinted, like you hinted at this in the last CNC, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make him much more of a bastard, like to Swim. Like so now we know like what Swim thinks of him. What is his perception of them?
Yeah. Only one of them is worth any salt at this point, and that is Mira Marchand. Whatever he wanted from Winsler, whatever utility Winsler had to him in his life is past because Kurt showed them how to make golems. He knows that information. Winsler can do nothing more.
And he also stayed for the whole 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly. I think Crow made like a passive-aggressive comment about that of like, thanks to you and Kurt and your knowledge, and Mr. Orlane even stuck around to show us how, right? And it was like, there's just so many little moments where Crow's like, also, you're useless to me in that entire conversation.
I gave you a real shot, you know? You could have been a part of my evil empire.
Saying the disgraced disgraced Angelica Lindman, that's intentionally put that way because she was disowned by her parents and is no longer part of the nobility. Who else is fucking no longer part of the nobility, Serenep Cinderman? He does not regard you as anything in this conversation. You are a disgraced, once been noble, right? You are just a person now. You're just a kid to him.
Yeah, it was such
younger
a big,
than him, but
it's a big fucking scandal too of
Yeah.
like, not like shit. Angelica's parents could like re-own her, I guess. Who fucking knows how that works? Serenep, you're a fucking fugitive, right?
Yes.
Like-
That is something that never got. I never thought it was a stress point I needed to push on in that conversation, but I was very prepared to. If Winsler had continued being a little fucking bastard, which chef kiss.
Yeah, he had a lot of righteous
Spectacular.
anger.
Yeah, and he's very easy to get rid of. So like him pushing this issue further would have resulted in like Crow pushing back with some like very overt threats, right? The kind of like conversation where he goes, Angelica Lindman can disappear tomorrow, right? Angelica in this instance is like an analog of any of these characters. Outside of this room, who that actually would notice if you disappeared tomorrow? People would probably just assume you were up to some hijinks. Your mentor's not around. You have some other friends, but what do they know about you really and what secrets you are keeping, right? Because I could get rid of you, or those secrets one day could get rid of you just silently in the night, right? What if a fucking frog, a demonish frog toad just came back because you fucked him over again and didn't live up to the terms of the deal and just killed you in your sleep? Nothing would happen. No one would know. No one would care outside of like the people who knew you, right? And like that kind of like very overt show of power through like those words and the way he's posturing himself in that conversation of like, I'm not going to give anything back to you until you ask me for it and make a case for why I should give it to you. You want Angelica Lindman back? I know the Lady of the Woods, Mira Marchand, wants you to have her, but why does she want you to have her? What importance does this lady have? Why not just leave her with me? Isn't she like, if it's not a big deal to anyone, just leave her with me, right? And then like forcing the players to be like, this is what's going on and this is why we need her back, right? And Winsler spilling the beans in such a beautiful way. Oh, just a fantastic conversation. I loved that scene so much.
It was a standout in this like little set of episodes to me, but that's also because I have a huge Crow bias.
I mean, it's warranted. Absolutely warranted.
He's great. And like, it's one of those things where like the only real power that the four of them have is that, and this is obviously making assumptions about, Crow's capabilities, but like the only real advantage they have is that if all of them attacked him at once, then he would probably die.
Yes.
But even then, resurrection magic exists in this world, and he can afford the like material cost.
Absolutely.
And even more than that, there's also the thought of like, all right, if you want like the strength of your arm to be the only thing that really matters, then we can play that game. Like, if force is the only like thing that determines who gets their way, then we can talk. We can have that talk.
Yes, I can show you the other people in this world who have a similar thought of how the world works and are much stronger than all of you, right?
Yeah. God.
It's just all back to that first shitty little dig back in episode, what would it be, 2, where they put the crown on and Mira gets her shit tattoo and Integrity almost gets stabbed, and then they get the orb thing open and it's just power is an illusion by some kid. And the joy of that is that he would have been like Faramel at that moment would have been like 19, 20 years old. So it's super funny, like young guy edgy thing, which I always reflect on. But like it comes up over and over and over in our show of like, you guys have some sort of power and you are strong and capable at fighting. But how do you fare when you cannot just fight your enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Mira can't just fucking like fist fight Bailey because she would probably win that. But like this is a different kind of arena. Crow exists in a different arena than the other villains in the show, and that's always very fun to exist in.
I've really enjoyed that aspect. But speaking of like those other arenas, what's fun, like, because Crow's machinations currently are very front and center. We're getting to see a lot of the big moves that he's making. However, there's a I don't know how subtle of a move it was, but an interesting one is with Elric and 192. That was another like standout moment for me of like, the guy's had his memory fucked with.
Yes. This you can hear it in the episode. I haven't edited it, but I will likely leave it the way it is in the raw, which I go, I guess you can go to class, whatever class, you can go to music. And then I go, oh, actually, because I wrote true facts about people and just know things about the characters, I can go, actually, there's a scene I never intended to give to you, but we're going to do it right now because it's a spectacular little moment that will show you a deeper Wraithrin vision. But like,
see more of their family dynamic.
Absolutely.
So to speak.
Family dynamic is a great way to put having your memory altered.
I mean, which, like, that's the thing, though. Who is more likely to have done that?
Yes.
Is it Adeline or Tonus? Which makes the, like, outcry of Mira being toxic even better. I'm like, damn, Mira's really bad when she, like, read her girlfriend's mind.
Read the mind of her girlfriend's mind, but her girlfriend potentially altered her father's memory?
Yeah. Hey, here's what I fucking know. If you go, like, a long period of time without seeing your significant other and they show back up with a very expensive gift, they may have done something really bad in order to like buy your affection back. I don't know. That's just my thought.
In at the start of spring dueling session, or what the fuck, Eyes on the Prize, after like they rescue Delnus from the book, she shows up with a bunch of gifts that her dad bought for them to like thank them for like saving his daughter. And then in this similar turn, she shows up and is like, hey, this is a gift for you. Don't read into it, right? It's just, I don't know.
Really makes you wonder who that gift is truly from, you know?
Yeah. Yes. I really enjoy the Wraithrins. We'll see more of them imminently in the next episode, or at least Delnus. We're definitely going to see Delnus in the next episode.
Fuck it, make Elric the moderator of the Vink Club debate. Like,
that would be so fucking wild.
Imagine this Jack Black motherfucker. Like,
yeah, he's he's one of the most charismatic and least likable professors on campus.
Is fucking Wishbone gonna do it? Come on,
right? Yeah, it's just all around good stuff. that's like the holdover thought from like the end of Autumn's End, and I was like, oh, this is stuff that will be going on over the break. It's always fun. That's another thing. Characters disappearing and then coming back with a slightly different stuff and being like, oh, what happened to you? Right? That's always like
with the golem eyes.
Yeah, that's always a pleasant thing. I wish I could do it better and more. Because I've
gotten better at it over time. Like that's the fun part about like this long ass campaign is getting to see everyone improve.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Don't go listen to those early episodes. Goodness gracious, they are just the not great DMing. When we started this show, I hadn't DM'd anything other than like 2 one-shots in over a year, and I was like so fucking rusty for like a long time. I was like, I don't remember how to do this. So any anxiety, and then like the anxiety of recording and everything. But yeah, seeing improvement over time and being able to like bring different things to the table as we get more skilled at this is always fun.
So as like we get here to like near the end of this episode, I had another question for you, which is a bit more open-ended. But like I hope you don't mind me asking it. But like, what are your goals for the next few episodes?
My goals.
Yeah, because like we know, like you've already mentioned. All right, tomorrow is the debate. Like, or tomorrow in universe is the debate. So like I think it helps for us, and this may be like more of a you and me thing, maybe not a good like podcast thing, which if so, I'm very sorry. Like, I think it's helpful to like actually like say, all right, here's what I want to do here, you know?
I think that, any of the arcs that go really easy are the ones that I have like a full, I already mentioned this, a beginning, middle, and end, right? And I want to hit those points. If you look at the things I'm very proud of in running and being a game master, which I would say is a Weenie Hollows. Go listen to them because they're literally the best I've ever been at anything.
I'm so excited for this year's.
The way those work is I say, I want this one pretty much only thing to happen in this episode, and if nothing else happens, this has to happen. I need to hit this beat, and then we can call this a chapter closed, right? And applying that kind of thought to the actual main story is like, for some reason, just so much more difficult. But the arcs where I am able to do that effectively, I think turn out great. My beginning of this arc, I wanted to show the start of the event planning committee election, and I wanted to set up Winsler and Integrity's warlock research, and I wanted to show them the little cranium rats who are running rampant on the school. My midpoint will be the meeting of the very super smart students society, which is, in case you don't fucking remember, because there's too much that happens in this show, that is what Winsler and Serenap were invited to.
Which, is there like a formal name for that, or are we going to get that in the next set?
We're going to get that in the next episode.
I'm so excited because like in my notes, I just have them as like the brainy bunch.
Also a good name. I'm excited.
Feel free to steal that.
I'm excited to get to the name. The name will mean something to people who are fanatics about the story and things. And it also gets to let me pull back old information about the world from early on in the podcast and like recycle it into something more than the sum of its parts, which is fun. I am excited for that.
Another thing that excites me about that, and this is something that I've been having to learn how to do in my own like DMing, is I'm excited to see Delness without the context of Mira.
Yes.
Like because I often fall into a trap of like keying an NPC to a player character, and like those are the two who interact. Yep. And anyone else is like tertiary, like not even secondary. It's like they're more likely to interact with other NPCs in an interesting way. Like, so yeah. Go ahead.
There's only been one Delness and Winsler scene, I think, ever, and it's when Winsler is fucking like rooting around in Elric's like theater in the seats and stealing his sheet music and stuff, and Delness is like, I think the relationship's really rocky. I don't know how to feel, and Winsler's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then like, I think that you can find chemistry between characters in very unlikely places, and it's always fun to shift things around. Delnus is a long-standing character who has a lot of fucking wacky stuff going on right now, but that's keyed in on Mira, and so we can pull back and just treat Delnus as like the more broad character with these other people. Not so much Sereneth, because Sereneth knows what's going on and will key into that, but with Winsler, it's very easy to just be like, yeah, we're just two real smart folks. What's up? What's going on? Right? And like stuff like that. So the secret society meeting at the chapel is a midpoint thing, and the events there are critical, I think, to the arc as a whole. And then we'll have our midterm or our mid-week kind of debate, which is also I view as like the midpoint. And then we will be... My goals for the next episodes is to convey a sense of secret society-ness to the secret society. I don't want it to just feel like, oh, we're meeting and having a psychology department mixer. I want it to feel as though we are arriving at this place, which has a lot of weight and history to it, and we ought to be quiet.
Listen, one of my deepest shames is being in a fraternity in my brief stint in college. However, if you need like weird ritual shit, feel free to outsource. Like, I'd be happy to like walk you through all of the different rituals that I was a part of.
Yes. As a person who played university sports,
Yep. That
I'm
makes
also
sense.
there with you.
Never mind.
Yep.
Yeah, you already know. You're well aware. You dealt with it way worse than I did.
So I just want to make that very fun. And also, in a meta note, I want to... Integrity is already keyed in on going to this event as like a Ocean's 11 style infiltration, but
fucking Agent Seahawk in here, like, or Agent Octopus or whatever she decided on.
Fantastic.
That whole God, I cannot wait to talk to her about that.
That was 1,000% just all on Carla. She was like, "This is what I want. This is what I want you to do. Give me my fucking room, and I'm gonna go and do this shit." Carla should just only be a secret spy. Like, Integrity being a secret spy is so fucking cash.
This is what she
money.
was meant to be. She was mysterious from the very start. Only
It's
now
so
is she able
good.
to like live into it.
And I want it to be fun. I want Integrity's already pulled in, and Winsler and Sereneth are already pulled in. I'm going to, by fucking hell or high water, rip Mira into this fucking shit by some miraculous method that is yet to fucking be seen by you. I have machinations, but fuck, we gotta get a good one, or else it's gonna be me being like, Mira, you go there too.
Mira, you get a text from Penny Royal who says, "Hey, can you?" That's not Penny's
Penny Royal
voice.
goes, "You fucking suck. Get over here."
Hey, you want to fight?
And then I want to do... I'll do whatever I can get I view sometimes when I play around with my villains and more silly bits of the world, I try to get away with as much as my players will allow me to get away with, if that makes sense. Like, me being like, "You fight the rats in the archives." That was me trying to get away with some shit, and you can hear me being like, "No, please, please, please," because I'm not 100% getting away with that. They're like, "This is kind of... We're doing this? This is what we're doing?" So I'm going to try
Trust
to get away
me,
with a little...
it all ties in.
All DMs always at some point you have to tell your players, "Please believe me. Please give me your trust."
It's one big trust fall exercise. That's all playing D&D is.
Yeah. And so those parts are very clear to me. Up to the midpoint of this arc, I have a very nice idea, and I have hopes for where it will go after that. But for the most part, I'm going to just present the things, and then if the players dig in, we'll dig into them. And if the players choose to stay more surface level, they can stay more surface level, and I will just unhatch my plots off screen to great effect.
I think it'd be really funny for us to get to the bad end of the podcast here with them like going just super surface level, being like, "Yeah, let's see how bad things can break." Like, you know?
I mean, if it's Illithid's running about, I would say shit could get pretty fucking bad. That would be, let me just say, if you know anything about Illithid, what a spectacular interaction that could be.
What's so good about Illithids is that they also have like so many other like little minion creatures, like an intellect devourer I've had a great use of in my campaign. Like, I fucking love those shits.
It's just
so like, yeah, look up those guys if you want a nightmare.
Yeah. I'm excited for the prospect of where this arc will go, and I'm waiting to react to my players and their decisions and what they are doing. And that is like coming off of it's just a phase. I'm very much trying to put myself into a more reactive set point as a dungeon master because I think it leads to more interesting situations.
And I think the prep that you're doing really lends itself well to that because
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I tried to do my old style of prep with it's just a phase and try to transition my DMing style to being more reactive. But how are you more reactive when you need these super specific things and you've all had these weird scenarios and it's like incongruent? I remember talking with you and it's like I prepped a lot of stuff that just never came up because it was like it's the prep does not match the style of DMing that I am attempting to do. And maybe this DMing style only works for certain arcs and different arcs require that. And like that's something that is learned over time, right?
It really like it almost feels in a way not necessarily I guess genre dependent. Because different arcs do have like different like tones and genres to them, and so that requires like different versions of prep.
Absolutely.
So God. Well, I'm sorry for interrupting you there. Please continue if you have anything else.
I've emptied my tank. Quite frankly.
In that case, if you could give me a moment of privacy. Hey, listener, it's me, Nathan. I see you there. You're in your car or on public transit. Good on you if you're using public transit.
Yeah.
Listening to this podcast. You had a good few laughs. You know what would mean the world to me? And I'm just coming to you hat in hand here. The holiday season is right around the corner, and what I would really love, 3 months away is right around the corner. All I want this Christmas is a 5-star rating on your podcatcher platform of choice. Luke sees how like pathetic I look right now. I'm currently dressed in rags and a little like newsy hat, and I have my bowl of gruel here that I'm just sipping out of because they pay me based on how many like star ratings we get, how many 5-star ratings we get in specific. Here's what they don't want you to know: you don't have to leave a review. You could just hit 5 stars to rate it, and that does like enough to get us up on the iTunes charts. However, I'll say this. I love reading reviews. If you put a little quip in there, I laugh myself to death over that. I've pissed through many pairs of underwear laughing at some of the funny reviews we've gotten.
Composed.
We got to cut out any sort of laughter here. Yeah, but, hey, once you get connected to some Wi-Fi, I'm not asking you to be ridiculous here. Go over there to that podcatcher, put a little 5-star, and then write a 1-sentence review. Hey, if you make a review haiku, I'll read that shit out on live on air. Not live, we recorded this previously, but all of those things really make a difference to us in the show, helps people know about it, and if you've already done so, I love you. I truly love you, and you have worth, and I'm proud of you. And if you haven't rated, then you don't have worth, and I'm disappointed in you. What the fuck is this sentence?
It's amazing. This is very big Patreon thank you energy.
Oh, excuse me.
When it's like 3 a.m. and I'm being like, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Listen, I just need you to know. Grabbing the mic, like, I need this. But let's say you've already rated and reviewed, but you still want to feel my love. And that's what this is all about, feeling my love for you, the listener. We're really, egging on that parasocial relationship type of stuff.
Absolutely.
We have merch at trebmerch.com. You can throw a few bucks our way for some great stickers. I hear that we've gotten some new sticker designs. Is that right?
Some new ones. Yeah. Some designs by our wonderful friend Rowan, and designs by our wonderful friend Jasmine's pet pile, and a bunch of keepsy and a little crystal ball. Snow globe.
God, could you imagine all the great conversation starters you can have with that person who you're like attracted to, but like you don't know how to like talk to them? Then they come up to you and they're like, "What's the deal with that goofy looking chest?"
Yeah.
And you look down at your shirt and they say, "No, the one on your water bottle." And and you all of those things can like you could find love based on trebmerch.com. That's what I'm selling you.
You can canonically find love just based on the podcast, but trebmerch.com goes even further.
Speaking as someone who has found love due to this podcast.
It's a great time. Trap merch, patreon.com/trialsandtraps. Discord in the link. Just the description.
Instagram. Yeah.
Instagram. Go over there.
Instagram.
That's
Go
it.
over there. All that and more is waiting for you. But thank you so much for listening. Luke, thank you for joining me. And I will catch you all on the flip side.